Okay, it takes a couple seconds for the record to kick in, but I've turned on the button. I want to welcome everybody. I'm Geri Stengel, founder and host and presenter for today's session. So I'm wearing multiple hats, and I'm excited to have so many of you on the call. And we're going to be doing the 411 on cause marketing and sort of the win-win between small businesses and nonprofits. I typically have been talking more about the larger corporations and how they can form relationships with nonprofits. But it's time to look the small businesses into the act and talk a little bit about how larger nonprofits can partner with local small businesses to create interesting combinations, and how large corporations can partner with local nonprofits. So my roots, or why I know about cause marketing and advertising, is that my roots are really started in ad sales at the Wall Street Journal. I was in market research, then marketing. I headed marketing for Physicians Online, which was advertising supported, and I had one company, Women's Leadership Exchange, which was totally sponsorship and supported. And yes, VENTURENEER is moving into a sponsorship revenue model. So I understand sponsorships very, very well. I also have about 15 years of nonprofit experience being on boards. I've been the vice chair of the New York City chapter of National Association of Women Business Owners, the vice chair, not of the chapter rather, but of the development committee. I was vice chair of Governance Matters, where I helped develop the promotion and marketing materials for their sponsorships. And I'm now vice chair of the fundraising committee for Praxis, which is a homeless organization. And we're building a permanent housing facility that's going to have an urban agricultural component. And can you say cause marketing? So tomorrow night, that's going to be a big part of the board meeting and our conversation, is how we can figure out our strategy for cause marketing. So before I get into the part of the presentation, I want to do a couple of different polls with you. Above the slides, you're going to see a guy with his hand up. I just want to have a sense from the audience of whether you're a nonprofit or a small business. So I'm just going to ask those of you who are nonprofits to raise your hands. Great. Okay, so now lower your hands. And those of you who are small businesses, if you can raise your hands, I'm just trying to get a mix. So we have some small businesses, a little fewer than the nonprofits in the room, and that's fine. If everybody can lower their hands, and now raise your hands if you have any experience with cause marketing. Have you done it? Oh, goodness, so no one's done it. Okay, so a newbie audience. That's really exciting for me. So we're going to be talking about cause marketing, which is marketing dollars that are being spent on developing nonprofit programs, which actually achieve specific business goals. They happen to usually be sales-oriented. It's not a corporate foundation giving a grant or a corporation giving a percentage of its profits to a nonprofit. I'm going to describe cause marketing in a little more detail so you can really wrap your arms around it, tell you why it's good from a nonprofit's perspective versus a small business perspective. I'll talk about who's doing it and share how effective it can be. Okay, you get it. You want to do cause marketing, but where and how do you begin? The fit between the nonprofit and the for-profit has to be right. I'll provide you with some examples. Oh, no, as I'm reading the notes coming in, some of you do both, so that's terrific. You're consulting on both the nonprofit side and the for business. Excuse me, I think I have to take a sip of water. Hold on. So you're both doing consulting for small businesses or corporations and nonprofits. So I also want to give you some rules of the road. There has been some abusive cause marketing and obviously some, I can't say that they're laws, but some definite rules are being developed, and it's really good to know about them. So I'm going to share them with you. And I jumped into the presentation without letting everybody know that we will be distributing the recording and the slides afterwards. It usually takes me a couple of days, but we try and do it as quickly as possible. I also will be pausing periodically to allow you time to ask questions. I highly recommend asking your questions because you'll get more out of the session. Okay, why all the fuss about cause marketing? Well, it's really a small slice of the nonprofit's revenues. It is a growing slice, and these days that means a lot. So I'm going to give you some figures in a moment, but for now I'm just going to move on to the next slide. So cause marketing is a win-win for the nonprofit and the small business. Together they rally around an issue for mutual benefit. Companies have to be authentic in their messaging. You just can't claim to be a green sponsor by merely slapping your logo on a recycling bin. Consumers are more empowered than ever before. They will call out companies if their business practices don't live up to their cause marketing initiative. They certainly did that, or consumers certainly did that to Susan G. Komen when they did a program with KFC. In case you missed it, I happen to have been one of those people that blogged about it. Money was donated to a breast cancer organization for purchasing fried chicken. Isn't a healthy diet important in preventing breast cancer? The good news is that many marketers have caught on and are living up to their promises. They're doing a better job with cause marketing than they did in the past. It used to be that marketers just threw money at something and said they were supporting it. But now the fit between the nonprofit and the business has to be authentic. IEG sponsorship projects cause marketing spending to be $1.7 billion in 2011, up 5%. And believe it or not, that's just 0.6% of all nonprofit revenue. Donors, both individuals and corporations, most often tell you how to spend the money they provide. They don't like to spend on administration or infrastructure. With cause marketing, the nonprofit can spend the money any which way they like. Selfish giving, and I'll be giving you the URL at the end of this presentation, did a really wonderful blog post in which they pointed out a variety of terrific local programs, and I'm going to highlight a couple of them right now. One is Create a Sweater pinup program, which was done in Atlanta, Georgia. Students at Atlanta school signed up to make and sell a Create a Sweater pinup. A local company matched every donation dollar for every donation dollar up to $1,000. Money raised went to an agency that helps seniors in need so that they continue to can live independently. Local media loves this kind of story. It's terrific for building visibility and generating some money. Foursquare and Check-in for Charity did a combo where at South by Southwest, which is held in Austin, and at last year's event, Foursquare had selected locations and partnered with Microsoft and PayPal, in which I think it was 25 cents went to save our children, and they raised like $15,000. Another great example of raising some money and giving some visibility. In-kind donations, Dickies and Salvation Army partnered in Detroit. Dickies is a manufacturer of worker apparel, and they donated 5,000 pants, and that raised about. Well, I'm trying to keep up with my notes here. For each dollar, for each pants sold, they raised money. It gives you access to companies' networks of employees. So organizations like Timberland actually organize their employees to volunteer for particular nonprofits, or they'll give you, a day or 2 days off to do volunteer work in whatever nonprofit you want to work for. So that's another way of doing cause marketing. And of course, companies can introduce you to suppliers, distributors, and other contacts. So for most nonprofits, they care about the bottom line, increasing sales, of their products and services. They want to do this in the most cost-efficient way, so they also want to build loyalty, and differentiation matters as well. And of course, it enhances your reputation. So an example, a terrific example of this also from Selfish Giving is Hannaford Supermarkets partnering with Keep Local Farms. And they did this up in New England. It's a cause marketing program that enabled shoppers to donate $2 and $5 when they were at the cash register. And they got there was educational information about Keep Local Farms on milk cartons. So it's a great example of staying true to the values and focus of in the environment, local agriculture, and husbandry that differentiates Hannaford Supermarkets and local farms. So I'm not going to drone on about the research that supports doing cause research. I'm going to be distributing the PowerPoint presentation to you afterwards. You can get this research, these statistics from there, or you can go directly to Cone, which is a market research company that specializes in cause marketing. Or they're a cause marketing company that specializes in doing market research. Women do the lion's share of shopping. They care even more about cause marketing. Again, you'll get the stats afterwards, so I'll let you read them then. 18 to 29-year-olds are the future money bags of the world. They are still impressionable, forming brand loyalties. They care more about cause marketing. We may think globally, but we act locally. People care more about their local causes than national or international. And what's terrific about, the world today is more and more technology tools are coming out to help both nonprofits and small businesses build their infrastructure for cause marketing. So examples of that are Facebook Places, Foursquare. There's also Mission Fish, and I think there's another organization called Beneviti, Benevity. And these platforms make it much easier for both the nonprofit and small business to provide support or to do their thing, raising money. So when did cause marketing start? I used to teach at the new school, and when I used to talk about this, I'd get a blank look because so many of my students had not been born in 1983. But I remember the campaign very, very vividly when American Express helped Lady Liberty clean up its act, or her act. Use of the card, every time you swiped your card, a penny was donated to renovate the Statue of Liberty. $1.7 million were raised, and card usage increased 28%. So a win-win for both sides. And I'm going to go back and forth between large companies and small businesses. There's more stats, showing the effectiveness for large corporations. So that's why I'm introducing some numbers here on the large corporation side. And the same with this example. In 1997, Coca-Cola donated 15 cents to Mothers Against Drunk Drivers for every case of Coke bought in a 6-week promotion in more than 400 Walmart stores. Coke sales increased 490%. What small business and nonprofit wouldn't want results like this? It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to pause. And allow you to ask your questions. The next section we're going to be talking about is where to start. I'm just waiting for a couple of the questions to come through. It takes a couple seconds. There's a little bit of a lag time in typing. So how do you find companies that are interested in your cause? And I'm going to spend a few minutes about this. So I'm going to hold on that question because I'm going to be giving you a bunch of different ideas for how to do the research. And for those of you who have not signed up for the LinkedIn, a powerful tool for nonprofits, and actually even for small businesses, that's going to be on August 10th. I highly recommend you doing that because LinkedIn is one of the tools that you can use to do your research. So why would a local versus a global, let's see if I understand, why would you say local versus global? Why not all over for everyone? So in a sense, it is all over for everyone. It's choose how it's going to work for you based on your objectives and goals. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is, in the next section, is developing your objectives, what you want to accomplish out of this. So it may be that it is more appropriate for you to work locally versus globally or nationally. So it really depends upon what you want to accomplish. Do I have any thoughts upon whether it should come from marketing or HR? I think, again, it depends upon your objectives. So if you're doing a volunteer campaign, you may be better off coordinating that through HR. If money is involved, you may be coordinating that through your marketing department. Larger corporations might even have a community relations department. So there might be a third kind of department involved in it, or a foundation might be involved in it. If you're a chapter of a national organization, how do you mitigate local versus national? So I'm going to give you a really good example of this. When I was vice chair of the National Association of Women Business Owners, it was the New York City chapter, and American Express was our sponsor, and they started with a small amount of money, and they just kept growing it, and they ended up sponsoring one of our big events that we do every year. But every year they gave us, or just about every year for a period of time, they were giving us more and more money. What we didn't know was that they were piloting a test for whether they would sponsor women-owned businesses or go much deeper into women-owned businesses as an initiative. They did make that decision, and they actually did pull the fairly substantive amount of money from the chapter and then ended up giving it to national. And that did cause all sorts of problems for the local chapter. But as a business, I understand why American Express did that. So keep your questions coming in. I will answer them at the next pause. So where to start? Like just about any other task, if you prepare things, things will go more smoothly. So nonprofits need to be business friendly, which may mean faster decision making. Both nonprofits and small businesses will benefit from being more measurement oriented, develop timelines, establish who is responsible for what, and make people accountable. So, I am a small business, and I do a lot of planning and coordination because we work virtually. So this is something that I follow. We're very process-oriented, and it really does help us in just about everything that we do. Decide whether you need training. Where are you in your path to knowledge? And hopefully we'll be adding more cause marketing webinars over the next couple of months. We're now trying to get some book authors that are writing about cause marketing. But you can certainly go to Cause Marketing Forum. They're a great organization for additional information, and there'll be a reference on one of my last slides. And you really have to think through, especially on the nonprofit side, what are your assets? What is it that you're going to be giving to the for-profit that they're going to be willing to pay money for? So for the National Association of Women Business Owners, they actually wanted access to our database. We didn't necessarily give them their names, but we did mailings for them, whether it was email or physical mailings. I've talked about the first 4 points here, so I don't want to repeat myself. Sometimes it's not just about profit. Sometimes it's about reputation. So, and sometimes it's about employee morale. So my niece works at NBC, and they organize volunteer days at Central Park. And I have to tell you, I was pretty jealous because I'm a huge fan of Central Park, and I really take advantage of it. And my niece was going to try and sneak me in as a volunteer, but she figured that I would stand out like a sore thumb because nobody knew who I was. But anyway, it does really enhance recruitment and retention. It's one of the reasons my niece is enjoying her job so much. And I think I can't remember if it's Intel or could be both Intel and Cisco. They actually give time off to their up-and-coming management people to get increased leadership and management experience. American Heart Association allows its good name to be put on products such as Blue Diamond, Almonds, Campbell's Soup, Ocean Spray, Prego, and Rite Aid Pharmacy. So you may not be a large enough nonprofit for that, but I wanted you to be familiar with the example. When you buy a pair of Tom's shoes, the company gives away another pair to a child in the developing world. Tom's Shoes does precious little advertising. They don't have to. Their word of mouth has been so good that they've gotten exposure they couldn't have purchased otherwise. And I'm not going to, during this session, spend much time on social media, but I do, in my blog writings, talk about the greater bang for your buck of social responsibility responsibility and or social good in social media. So there's all sorts of companies from Method and Seventh Generation who concentrate their marketing dollars in social media, and this is a great way of intertwining your message with a nonprofit and a small business for greater good for both of you. One store in Salt Lake City, Alpha Graphics, actually organized a barbecue benefiting Junior Achievement. So Junior Achievement is one of those organizations that works with really, really large organizations like AT&T, HP, FedEx, Sam's Club, General Electric, Barclays, Citi, and Capital One, but they're not going to turn down somebody who wants to throw a party for them at the local level. And all of the proceeds were donated to Junior Achievement, whose three-part mission is youth development, education development, and economic development. Sears develops programs to provide home repair assistance to military veterans and their families because of their company expertise, home services, and it's a cause that really appeals to shoppers. Toys R Us has published a catalog of toys recommended for children with special needs, and they've been doing that since 1994. So you got to get inside of each other's heads, and I did put this up the head of the company. But to tell you the truth, it doesn't matter if you're on the nonprofit side, you're getting into the head of the small business. If you're on the small business side, you're getting into the head of the nonprofit. You have to know what they want to accomplish, who they're targeting. Are there any products and services that the small business is doing a special marketing push? And I'm going to be talking about a P&G effort in a few minutes to illustrate that point. What causes is the small business passionate about? And what's the geographic focus? You may be a small nonprofit, but you may have international aspirations. You really have to match it, the aspiration. Do you have preferences in terms of the size of organization that you work with? You know, there are plenty of great organizations, and I just realized I'm not giving you the bullet points, so let me catch up. There are great organizations that are small, and that's both from the small business side and the nonprofit. And by working together, you can really maximize or leverage your voice. So how do you pick a partner? And I'm going to talk about this until you're tired of hearing me talk about it. It's about passion alignment. It's about authenticity. There's many, many different ways of talking about this, but what does your organization care about? So there's an organization called Waves that cares about the environment. Waves actually, it's an ecotourism site. I can't remember. I think they teach surfing to tourists in Peru, and the tourists then teach English and math to the young children in the area, and they also teach the kids how to swim. So believe it or not, even though they are on the ocean, the kids don't know how to swim. So they, out of sand, build a small pool so that the kids can feel protected and safe and learn how to swim. And it's a great, any sporting apparel manufacturer that's looking to reach Gen Y, this is a great nonprofit for them to be partnering with. So before we were asked about research, or how do you find out about the businesses. When you're looking for a large corporation, obviously they're going to be more in the news. They'll have annual reports. But even small businesses are going to be in the local newspapers, and it's going to be talking about what the entrepreneurs interests are. You may find out if you go onto their website, you may find out in their LinkedIn profile what they're passionate about. What is it that they care about? And other things, one of the other themes that I write a lot about is entrepreneurs giving back. And they give back even before they're successful, and they give back to a greater degree than corporations. So I actually didn't add that to the list of references, but I will add that article just so that it sort of sets the stage and the expectation of beginning to figure out where you can, why this is so important for entrepreneurs. So I'm going to pause again, and questions have been coming in, and I hope you'll continue to send questions. What's the best way to break into a company? Cold call, handwritten letter, email, LinkedIn message. So, Dave, I want to thank you for that question. So, again, we're going to be covering a lot of this in the LinkedIn webinar. And actually, it's one of the last slides in this presentation. Getting a referral is always going to be easier than doing a cold call. And LinkedIn is one of those ways that you can get that referral. So if you take a look at your connections versus, let's say, I don't know, Dave, if you're on the nonprofit side or the small business side, but it would really work the same way. You have a target organization, and you're comparing your connections to their connections and seeing if there's somebody who wouldn't mind making that introduction. And because you're passionate about the same thing, it's not some, meaningless introduction that somebody's going to be embarrassed and annoyed that you're asking them to make. You're making it because either you, the small business, care about a certain cause, or vice versa. You, the cause, know that this person cares about this. You, the nonprofit, know that the small business cares about this particular cause or mission. So since no more questions have come in, I'm going to move on to the next section and give you some examples of some organizations that are doing some pretty incredible things. So again, as I mentioned, sometimes I'm going to talk about large corporations, but in this particular case, it's a big corporation doing things at a very local level within a very specific niche. P&G started with the cause breast cancer and addressed one factor. Hispanic women are more likely to die from breast cancer because they're reluctant to get mammograms because they don't have insurance or discuss screening. So P&G brought screening to the supermarket parking lot with a mobile mammography vehicle and partnered with local hospitals and local doctors so that if there was an issue, they could recommend and refer to local doctors and hospitals for follow-up. They signed a Colombian American singer who who was a breast cancer survivor, and she became the spokesperson. They gave away a free CD from her. They started in Texas. It was so successful that they moved to Florida, to Los Angeles, to New York, and to Puerto Rico. And they exceeded P&G's payout, P&G's goal of increasing sales of 20% in those areas. Another great example of a national organization doing business not with goodwill nationally, but goodwill locally. So goodwill, Dell, a computer manufacturer, teams up with an organization that collects used clothes, household goods, and now computers. So again, a win-win, and they took 2 million pounds of used computers out of landfills. So again, I'm just going to pause for a moment. If you have questions, great. If not, we'll move on to the next section, which is lessons learned. So we have some questions coming in, so I will pause. And it looks like we have a couple of questions coming in, which is great. So lots of people are typing in, but there's lag time. So do you have any resources you could suggest for templates for proposals? No, I don't, but I bet if you keyword searched it, you would have templates. I don't think that's going to be difficult to find. Developing your case. So you really need to take a look at yourself sort of under the hood and understand what you do well. What is it, if you were Meredith, I'm going to guess that you're on the nonprofit side. And what is it that you have that a for-profit might be interested in? So is it from your program side? Is it your list of people that you communicate with? And I will have a checklist for some of the legal issues that have come up. So that's from the Better Business Bureau, and I'll give you the URL as well as giving you that information on a slide. So how does a typical cause marketing promotion, how long does a typical cause marketing promotion last? So I'm going to say that the rules of the road are changing. I think there's now a realization that you need to be in it for the long haul. So, initial campaigns may have been more like a one-off or maybe a year, but really in order for the small business to benefit and the nonprofit to benefit, you need to be in it for the long term. Now, it may not work and you may pull the plug on it, and that's certainly allowed, but I think you should go into it, the relationship, with the thought that it's at least going to be a few years. So, Meredith, you have a large organization, membership organization, so you have something very substantive like we did in National Association of Women Business Owners. We also, had an image within, New York City for representing the voice of women business owners. So it was great for American Express and other large corporations to be affiliated with us. So, Jackie, I don't have recommendations. I'm not sure I understand the question for attorneys in various states. If it is a fundraising compliance issue, I would highly recommend Perlman and Perlman, but I'm not fully sure I understand what the question is. There are definitely lawyers that specialize in nonprofit work, and Perlman and Perlman, it's just a law firm here in New York that I know very well, has a very large expertise also in the cause marketing arena. So they have it both on the fundraising side, licensing, and cause marketing. You can find me in LinkedIn. If you're going to try and not try, what is the word I want to say? If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, don't send me a generic message. Tell me that you met me through my webinar presentation, because I tend to ignore generic messages. I want to have a meaningful relationship with my connections. If you've taken a webinar, I'm delighted to connect with you. My client, this is from Maureen. My client is a small nonprofit that has the same mission as a local rock star nonprofit. Have you ever seen a large nonprofit taking small nonprofits under their wing? My guess is no, and I'm going to take that back. I think you're seeing more and more collaborative efforts among nonprofits over time. I think you have to find them through collaborative organizations. So I think virtually every state has like an umbrella organization for nonprofits. Here in New York City, it's the Nonprofit Coordinating Committee, and there's also I forgot the name of it. There's two in New York State. Most states only have one, but if you email me, I'll try and look it up. Or actually, even better yet, ask the question in my Facebook page so that we can share it with everybody, that information. So many questions are coming. I'm not sure I'm keeping up with them. I think I'm missing some. So legal help in New Jersey, pro bono partnership. I'm sure that there are lawyers that do it pro bono. Again, I know some of the organizations in New York City, but I don't know them in New Jersey. Perhaps the Lawyers Alliance in New York could refer you to a similar organization in New Jersey. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up with the questions. Okay, so if I've missed your question, just ask it again, but I'm going to move on at this point. So I'm going to be talking now about the lessons learned. You know, we've given you a couple of great examples and what those, rules of the road are. And somehow I think, so again, I'm hitting this point over and over. This is the point that I think is the starting place for everything. Match your ideals and passions between the company and the nonprofit. Make the program meaningful from both sides. This is also an interesting thing that sometimes comes up. Sometimes you could have competitors, and by and large, you don't want to have competitors in the same, competing partners in the same program. But, for example, Habitat for Humanity has been able to work with both Lowe's and Home Depot by, carving out specific program initiatives for each of them. You want to make sure that you get to know each other, date, have meetings. The best relationships are built on trust. Determine who does what. Be flexible. And I'm going to say party. So when you have a success, go out there and absolutely celebrate. As I mentioned, where there are some details or now. Just in case I haven't driven the point home, I want to make the point that your matching mission, just as you don't want to sleep around, you want to have a corporation with a good reputation, and you want to have a nonprofit with a good reputation. It's easy to work with a corporation that has done it before. That being said, if the marketer is sincere and has its act together, go for it. And the same with vice versa for the nonprofit. Just as it's not always about sales for the corporation, it shouldn't always be about funding to the nonprofit. And I'm hearing that more and more from other organizations also. You can get volunteers. You can get in-kind donations. And we have a great webinar in the archive on in-kind donations. So by all means, search for that one. The corporation is going to check you out. The nonprofit should absolutely check the corporation out. Don't be shy about that. You've got to have chemistry, and you really have to do your due diligence. I know this is sort of like an eye chart. And you know, as a result of some corporations being sort of slam-bam-ish, and even some nonprofits, um, more rules are really being put into place to ensure that this doesn't happen, and I'll give you the link to the Better Business Bureau website. Corporations measure things differently than nonprofits. Get to know what if you're the nonprofit, get to know what the corporation cares about, which is sales, brand awareness, media impressions, survey participants, public opinion polls. This is a relationship. Nurture it with respect and communications. Just as when you're on a date, you want your parents to like the person you're dating. You want management to support your what you're doing. Write down what you're doing for each side. So, you know, include the budget, the timeline, know who in the organization is responsible for what. And I'm nutty about that. You know, because I work virtually with my staff, we're very process oriented. So I got asked before about referrals, and it's always better to have the door open for you. Use your board, your staff, friends, and volunteers. And again, just to make that point, we're doing a presentation on how to use LinkedIn for fundraising and board development purposes. So you're going to get tips from Mark Halpert, who's going to be talking about how to gussy up your LinkedIn profile and include those keywords that's going to make it obvious if you're the entrepreneur or small business that the nonprofit, the right nonprofits can find you. So what are your passion? What is it that you're passionate about? And then, of course, how to polish up your profile if you're on the nonprofit side. And Maria Semple will be talking about, she is a prospect researcher that long ago found out that you could use the advanced search function on LinkedIn to find out the exact right person for a strategic alliance, for a board member, or for fundraising purposes. And we're also going to have Brian Breckenridge, who is the head of LinkedIn's nonprofit group, on the call. He has been recently hired to develop the category of nonprofits and social enterprises for LinkedIn. So he's going to talk about sort of the overall big plan, game plan from LinkedIn's vantage point of what they're going to be doing for nonprofits to make it more user-friendly for you to be using it. So again, where are you starting? The asset evaluation, the research that you're going to be doing, which we talked about before. Who's going to be the liaisons? How are you going to measure? And of course, how are you giving back feedback? I'm going to pause and allow you to start asking questions, but these are the resources that I'm going to be giving you. And I did promise also that I'm going to add the blog posts that I did on entrepreneurs giving back. There are two blog posts that I did. One, I actually did it as a guest blogger for American Express's small business site, Open Forum, and it really dives down deep into some research that was done by Fidelity about entrepreneurs wanting to give back and giving back in multiple ways. So it could be a corporate donation, it could be a personal donation, it could be going on the board, it could be volunteers. And as a reminder, it may take me a couple of days, but we'll absolutely be distributing the presentation, which will include a link as well as the PowerPoint. It. We are trying to source, there's a couple of authors that have just come out with cause marketing books, and I'm not going to mention them by name just in case I'm not able to get them on VENTURENEER's site, but we are trying to get them as guest presenters. We are in a position where we would be relying on a nonprofit network to advertise a promotion where we donate $5 for every purchase of X. How strict are the partners against nonprofits promoting or mentioning the offer? How strict are the parameters against the nonprofit promoting? Actually, you're going to find the more parameters you put in the offer, the better. So I'm not sure, Jackie, I'm fully understanding the question. So you absolutely can use a nonprofit to promote or advertise a promotion for donations. The Better Business Bureau will give you some rules of the road on what information you have to put in there. Use of celebrities in causes. I'm actually not a fan of celebrities unless it is a perfect fit. So P&G using a Latino singer who is a breast cancer survivor is absolutely perfect. But if that celebrity is not absolutely perfect, I wouldn't bother with celebrities. And celebrities sometimes charge even nonprofits for the use of their name. So I'm, as I said, not a tremendous fan of using celebrities. It can frequently raise all sorts of other issues. Is the nonprofit able to mention the specific offer? The nonprofit absolutely can mention the offer, but I think you're going to find that you need to negotiate with the nonprofit as to whether they want to promote you. So that's going to be the bigger issue for you rather than what you put in the promotion. So as an example of that, we were doing, I think it was when I was at the National Association of Women Business Owners. My background is market research, and we were doing a member satisfaction survey, and we wanted to mention that we would, for every survey completed, we would make a donation to Susan G. Komen. They would not let us, without going through hoops, use their name. So there are organizations that are extremely strict and put you through all sorts of hoops, even if you're raising money for them. So I'm going to be distributing, not to worry, I'm going to be distributing this to you that will have the list. One of my favorite sites is Fish Giving. So Joe is a great blogger. He touches on local issues a lot. So if you were going to choose to follow a blogger in cause marketing, I think he would be my first choice. And then I think he did an article on other cause marketer bloggers and tweeters. So that's definitely one that you want to take a look at. For the big perspective, Cause Marketing Forum is an excellent resource. They're going to be more about the large corporation and the nonprofit. But if it's rules and rules of the road that you can translate down to local nonprofits and small businesses, they will be an excellent resource. IEG has some great case studies, but their case studies are all going to be big boy case studies. So I enjoy reading it. I'm not sure that you'll get everything that you want out of it. So it's a word of caution about IEG because they're so large corporation focused. Cause Marketing Forum will do it sort of both ways. They'll do small business, they'll do large corporation, but they're giving you much more, what's the word that I want to use, how-tos than an IEG would give. And Cause Marketing's how-tos are applicable whether you're big or small. So smaller disability cause relationships, I'm not sure, again, I don't necessarily know of examples of, there's no database of local, best local partnerships, cause marketing partnerships. Joe at Selfish Giving is probably the closest to doing that since he does, I think, an annual article on that topic. So again, I want to mention that we're going to be doing a webinar on August 10th, LinkedIn, a powerful tool for nonprofits. LinkedIn is one of the most misunderstood social media. It is the most misunderstood social medium out there for nonprofits. We did a survey last year where even nonprofits that are good at social media are not good at LinkedIn. I believe that Mark, Maria, and I have come up with the way to use LinkedIn, so it is more as a research database and an introduction or a matchmaker. So much different than the way that you would use Facebook or YouTube, which are sensational tools for nonprofits, sensational social media tools. LinkedIn is really that research database that somebody asked in the beginning. How do you find organizations? And I think as Brian moves into his job and gets comfortable, you're probably going to see enhancements to, if I had to guess, enhancements to LinkedIn that are going to make it easier and easier for nonprofits to use it in the way that Mark and Maria and I are going to be talking about. So just Geri at VENTURENEER.com if you want to, if you need to, I'm sorry, Meredith is asking how you link to me in LinkedIn. My email address is Geri at VENTURENEER, and I guess I forgot to put that up here in the resource section. I should have. I do want to move to one last slide, which is not the question slide, but the VENTURENEER slide. I should change the slide and give everybody my email address, but it's Geri at VENTURENEER.com. I prefer questions to go to the Facebook page because I'm trying to share the knowledge with everybody. But if you need to use the email to link with me on LinkedIn, again, it's Geri at VENTURENEER.com. But don't send the generic message because if I don't recognize your name, I'm not going to link to you. I am trying to build sort of meaningful relationships on LinkedIn. So I'm not trying to be snotty or anything, but if I don't recognize you, I just sort of ignore you, and all it'll take is